Hi, I'm Barbara Wainwright, the CEO and founder of Wainwright Global Institute of Professional Coaching. And I am so glad you're here today because I have a very special guest. Her name is Jackie Lapin, and wait till you hear what I got to share about her with you. Jackie Lapin's mission is to help leaders, entrepreneurs, authors, and coaches like you find and secure their next clients by getting in front of more audiences faster. Her SpeakerTunity, the speaker and leader resource company, has researched hundreds of thousands of speaker lead contacts and has curated them to meet your needs. Jackie's SpeakerTunity members only program provides leads for live and virtual events and meetings, conferences, podcasts, radio shows, videocasts, virtual summits, TEDx events, and more. SpeakerTunity is the ultimate speaker toolbox, one-stop shopping for the speaker. And for the past 14 years, Jackie's radio podcast tours have helped nearly 400 luminaries, leaders, filmmakers, and authors grow their businesses, sell more books, create viewership, and change more lives by introducing them to up to 9,000 shows and podcasts, including such clients as Don Miguel Ruiz, Dr. Joe Vitale, Marie Diamond, James Twyman, Arielle Ford, Hay House, and more. She's booked more than 10,000 interviews and speaking engagements for her clients. So welcome, Jackie. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. And I know my coaches are going to want to learn a lot more about you and what you have to offer. So how did you get here? How did you end up doing SpeakerTunity?
Well, first, I want to thank you for inviting me, Barbara. So the reason I ended up with SpeakerTunity, it was, let me go way back. I was one of the first women sports writers in America. I mean, at 20, I was at the Detroit Free Press. 21, I was at the Associated Press and at the front pages of the LA Times. 22, I was co-hosting Dodger Dugout and I was at the Washington Post.
Wow.
So I went on to have one of the largest sports special events, cable TV PR agencies in America. You would recognize my client list. It was just a world-class client list.
Wow.
But the media was changing and I got a calling to write 2 books in personal growth. And the second one, Practical Conscious Creation, Daily Techniques to Manifest Your Desires, was the best spiritual book of the year at the International New Age Trade Show. So when I did that, I realized that my heart lay with the people who are making the world a better place.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to serve them. So I rebranded my company, Conscious Media Relations. And as you heard back about 15 years ago, I started doing radio podcast tours. And somewhere around the 5 years in, they started saying to me, "Can you book me for speaking gigs?" I said, "I don't want to do that, but I know where they are. So why don't I just tell you that?" And so that's how SpeakerTunity was born. My very first product was for transformational leaders. And we gave them things like, local meetings and conferences and TEDx's and spiritual centers and bookstores and retreat centers and associations. And that product still exists. That's our flagship, SpeakerTunity Speaker Leads. And then it just started to grow like Topsy. I just kept adding more and more and more things. I call it my pandemic project. And we now have 35 different products for people. So wherever they want to start or get to in their speaking, we can help them from whether it's, an opportunity to really just touch your feet into it, or you're an experienced keynoter and you just want to get conferences, or you even want an agent to help book you. We do everything in between. We'll get you to the right place and the right resources, speaker sheets, and all kinds of other things so that you just don't have to do the work. We know how busy coaches are. My mission is to take some of the load off of them so that they don't have to be doing so much. So whether it's leads or support or graphic design to serve a speaker, we got it all covered.
That's so cool. So what's unique about SpeakerTunity? What makes you different?
Well, the first thing is nobody has a platform like we do, where you could come in and pick the kind of speaker leads you want. And if you want to start just with podcasts, you can. But if you're already a little bit more advanced and you want podcasts and summits and conferences and, then you can go into, we have a membership program, so you can go into the next level, you can get more of them. So that makes it easy. Other companies, they might have just podcasts, or they might just do, it's hard to find a speaker booker these days, and which is why it took me years to get somebody that I could feel comfortable with in our team. But the majority of companies, they'll come in and they teach you to speak. Well, and then maybe they'll give you some leads on the back end of it. We don't teach you to speak. There are lots of great speaker coaches who are partners that I'd love to recommend, to folks, or you yourself and people So we just pick it up where you want to get booked.
That's
Right there.
awesome. That's
That's what's
awesome.
unique. Just from the point you want to get booked, that's where we help you.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Because you're right. A lot of people already have the speaking experiences and they don't need a coach to teach them to speak. They really need the venues, which is what you do. I love
Yes.
that. So, how could a coach best take advantage of that? What do you think would be the best way for them to take advantage of it?
Well, they can come in. Let's say they don't know how to write their pitch letters or their speaker proposal pitch letters for radio and podcasts, or their proposal letters. We have training programs for that. I'm actually going to launch a coaching program this year, so it'll take people through the whole process. But that's really, you really need to get your materials together. That's really the very beginning. How are you going to position yourself? And some of the things that you're looking at are, like I say, a proposal letter to a speaker booker, a speaker one sheet, and I
Yes.
can go into more detail on that in a second, and a little video of yourself. You want 3 to 5 minutes of video so that they can see what you look like from stage. What you don't want to give them is something from a cell phone that's poorly lit and the sound isn't good. You really need to have professional video. And whether you buy that from a conference that you're at, whether you hire a videographer to come in when you're talking to a group, whether you go to a speaker showcase where they do video just for you, or whether you get a hotel room and get all your friends and family there and hire your videographer, you really need to have stage video these days and not virtual video from a presentation you make if you are going for those kinds of stages, because a booker's going to be looking, live is back in a big way. And so they really want to see you on stage. So let's go back to the speaker sheet, because that's an important tool.
Oh,
You
yeah.
want to appear really professional. And by the way, there's a speaker sheet for speaking, and there's a podcast sheet if you want to pitch yourself to podcasts. The
Nice.
podcast is 1 page, the speaker sheet is 2 page. When you're doing a speaker sheet, it's going to have a bio, it's going to have 2 testimonials, preferably from somebody who's booked you before. Not, you can use your coaching clients, you can use people who've heard you speak as placeholders until you get one from people who've booked you.
Nice.
Then on the back side, you really want to have 3 presentations, because I say if you only have 1 arrow in your quiver, it had better be a bullseye.
Yeah, right.
So you want to give people choice. The more you increase the opportunities, the choices, the higher your ratio of getting booked. Now, it could be the same presentation rewritten for 3 different types of audiences, or it could be 3 entirely different subject matters within your expertise, or it could be 2 or 3 different levels, beginners and experience, or it might be a keynote, a workshop, and a lunch and learn. So there's lots of ways to slice it, but you want to make sure that a booker has choice when they're looking to book you. So, and you want to get those looking really sharp. And that's one of the things we do at SpeakerTunity really inexpensively. And the way we do that in all of our graphic design resources is you pick from a template, choose colors, fill in the form. We tell you what to give us. You don't even have to think about it.
Nice.
And then it goes to the designer, and she does a custom design off the template concept, and then you get a review, and we get rave reviews on these, so you get it back in 3 to 5 days. And the podcast is only 1 pager, and instead of all the different events, speaking presentations, you instead just list the 3 or 5 topics you speak on that 1 page. So it gives you lots of flexibility. When you attach it on your pitch letters, it makes you look like a superstar. So that's really
That's amazing. So you have a template that can be filled out, and then you have an artist that'll put it all together and give you the finished product.
You actually just pick the template. You don't even, it's a form you fill out, but you say, I like that design best.
Yeah.
And we did that with book flyers, speaker handouts, also with conference roll-up banners. So if you need to go to conferences, If you have if you've never branded your slide deck, we'll give you a templated slide deck you can use, or even a virtual background. We've got all of those things so that you can show up being branded and really make an impression on people. So we're
Wow.
really cutting the headaches related to all of that into some very simple steps.
I love that. Anything that makes something simple. It sounds like you have a system in place. That's why I think systems are brilliant because they save time. It's proven, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel and you just go down the path. So it sounds like you've got a great path for people that are interested in getting started. Is there anything that somebody should know about getting an event booked or a speaking engagement booked? Like if they're a beginner or if they're more experienced, is there a difference in those two things? I mean, obviously one would have some testimonials from the event planners, like you mentioned. Is there anything else?
Well, I think that, if you're just beginning and you're intimidated to be on stage,
Yes, very good.
start with podcasts. Give them 20 questions you want to be asked, but basically make that your roadmap to your presentation.
Yes.
Deliver that 30 times on podcasts, and you will be way ready to actually do it from a stage because you've now got your messaging down. I mean, I did 100 interviews on that book I told you about. And by the time I stepped on stage, I had it nailed. My confidence level was up. I knew that, that it was right there. And one other key thing, and coaches should already be coming from this place.
Yes.
If most people stand on a stage and they get scared because they think, oh my God, they're judging me. They're looking at me. They don't like the way I look. They don't like the sound. I'm going to screw up, et cetera, et cetera. Well, I got news for you. Get over yourself. They don't care about you. All they really care about is, are you going to deliver them life-changing information? And if you, before you step on that stage, take a big breath and remember that you are in service to them and they need what you have. They are crying out for what you have. Step on that stage from a place of service. I am here to help you. If you do that, your butterflies will go away. That's really important. Now, let's jump to the more experience. So there are several different kinds of presentations. Most people think, oh, I want to get paid for speaking.
Mhm.
Well, yes, but one, they are few and far between. They are harder to get. The competition is fierce.
Yes.
And you can actually make more money selling from the stage, making an offer from a speaking engagement. So let's say they pay you $5,000 to show up. If you've got the right offer with the right audience and the right ability to convey that to your audience,
yes,
you're going to make a ton more money selling from the stage. So, you can make $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 when you could have made $5,000 on a paid speaking engagement.
right.
So I'm a big believer that every speaker should have 3 different things in their arsenal. A free gift offer,
Yes.
because some places will never let you sell.
Right.
A paid offer.
Yep.
To sell, and then deliver a keynote on a paid stage. There's a 4th version, and that's where you pay to get on somebody's stage, but you need to be really accomplished at that. You need to know how, on an average, how many people you can convert in a room. And then you can do the numbers. If they're asking this much money, and I know that they're going to have this many people, and I can convert this much of the audience, can I make money over and above what they're asking? And you can only do that when you've got a lot of experience. But so you have all of these 4 different options, and the first 3 everybody should have. And I will add to that when we talked about the one that's the first free offer, you should also have a free offer built into every one of those 3.
Oh, nice. Yes.
Because you never know if they're going to buy your paid offer. At least you can capture them into your list.
Yes.
And if it's a paid audience, a lot of times they don't want you selling, but they'll let you give them some information to stay in contact with you or something free.
Yes.
So any of those ways, you just want to clear it and make sure that it's okay on a paid stage. And then make sure that you're capturing those people.
I love it. That's so brilliant. That's really brilliant. So I know that not everybody likes to get on the phone or send out the emails to get in contact with the people that are hosting either a podcast or a live event. What can people do? I know you have a service. What options do you have for helping people to get that done?
So let's say that you were to buy a regional directory from us. We have 75 regional directories with all of the evergreen meetings and venues and association meetings in your marketplace.
Wow.
Business for service and philanthropic, all the the special interest groups, parenting,
Wow.
et cetera, and then spiritual in any one market. Or let's say you got a region, our niche specialties directory, which includes all of the meetings in your niche, like women's business or coaches and authors or spiritual centers or
Yes.
whatever it might be. We have 60 different of those. Let's
Nice.
say you get conference connections, where we have 4,300 conferences every month that have issued calls for speakers. Now, so let's say that you get any of those three. You don't want to do the outreach. We have a virtual assistant service
Nice.
that will actually do the outreach on your behalf. They'll pick it up. They'll fill in all those forms at Conference Connections. They'll take your regional directory and niche directory, and they'll start sending out those emails to try to get you booked. So that's one option. The
Nice.
next option is, let's say that you don't want to invest in having a paid speaker agent for you. We have something called Meeting Planner Connect, which enables you to send an email directly, for us to send an email on your behalf
Okay.
directly to 10,000 meeting planners with a 100-word bio and a 100-word description of your presentation and a few other pieces of information. And it gets on, and it has a 60% open rate.
Wow. Wow.
So that's the next thing. And that's, I think, $897. Now, the last thing is you can retain a speaker agent through us. Now,
Wow.
she has 15 years worth of experience. She's been, they do a deep dive into the kinds of gigs that you're looking for. And they have a call center that makes 400 to 500 calls on your behalf every single month per client,
Whoa.
until they can get the door open and then start the dialogue on your behalf. So, and it's never an easy, it doesn't mean when you get an agent, it doesn't mean it's going to be happening tomorrow that you're going to get those
No.
gigs. You have to
Right.
start building the relationship for you. And so,
Absolutely. That makes sense.
so all of those things are different options. And then if you just want podcasts, we do the done for you, done with you podcast tours,
Oh,
which,
wow. That
as
sounds
we
like
talked
fun.
about,
The way
they are.
podcast tour. It
You
sounds
never
fun.
have to leave your desk. It's really fun, really fun. And we get anywhere from, we guarantee 30 interviews, and we get anywhere from 30 to 60 usually.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun. So I have another question. What do you think is the biggest mistake that coaches are making when they're trying to get booked as a speaker?
Very simple. They don't commit the time.
Mm.
So you think you're going to get to it. Oh, I'll carve out some time this week. Now, you know what the life of a coach is like. You think you're going to
Oh
be
my
able to
God.
find that? No, you
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
have to book 3 hours a week in your calendar to focus on this. Now, whether that's you doing the sending and to follow up, and those conversations, or
Right.
whether it's somebody that you've retained or a member of your team, you have to supervise them. And you don't just say, here's the list, go do it. You need to listen to them deliver it. You need to make sure they've got the right script. You need to make sure that the materials are right. You need to make sure they're sending it to the right places. And
Yes.
all of those things that are related to being effective at doing that. So
Yes.
it's not it'll happen, at some point, or at waiting and expecting people to invite you. That's not going to happen. And
Yeah.
here's my rule of thumb. If you don't do the time, you can't earn the dime.
Okay, yeah. So it sounds like it's a pretty big effort and you have that done for you. I just even love the sound of the podcast tour because it sounds like fun. Oh my gosh. So I think it's brilliant that you have those services for
Yeah.
anybody that's interested in getting into the speaking industry. I think that's fabulous. Let's talk about TEDx. How important is either a TED talk? I know those are pretty rare. TEDx talks are fairly common, but not really, right? By comparison to podcasts and stuff. But what's that like? Is it important to get that done? How hard is it to get booked and that kind of thing?
Well, the first thing is, if you're trying to raise your profile, a
Yes.
TEDx is very, very important
Okay.
because it's not an opportunity to sell. It is an opportunity to help brand yourself.
Yes.
And it opens more doors. It's going to get you more speaking gigs. It's going to get you more clients. It's going to up level your credentials when you're trying to get in the doors with people that are
Right.
higher on the food chain than you are.
Yes.
It is a tool that will give many, many benefits. Now, it's not easy to get into. And I can actually tell you there are 1,400 of them around the world. We just did
Wow.
our annual update, on our TEDx directory, which is really inexpensive. It's only 99 bucks. And it's the
Wow.
most comprehensive anywhere in the world. And what it does is it makes it really easy for you to find the right ones because
Nice.
some of them are themed. Some of them, if
Yes.
you're going to travel, you're looking for the ones that speak English. You're going to want to see, what's physically close to you and with driving center because actually TEDx's will favor people locally. Now, it doesn't mean they'll book somebody from outside. They will, but
Yeah.
they favor people locally because there are rehearsals and coaching. And they
Yes.
don't want to risk somebody flying in for that and getting stuck on an airplane and missing their one or two chances to do that.
Right.
So it's critical that you're within driving distance from them.
Yeah.
So when you're going to book yourself today, one of the things that a lot of them ask for is a 2-minute video. And that 2-minute
Yeah.
video is like a preview of you presenting. And it can't be your speaker reel. It has to be talking about the subject matter that you're going to be presenting.
Perfect.
And so, that's a factor. And then you're going to end up submitting again and again and again to all of those TEDx's. So you really need to have all your answers in a nutshell and defined after you do the first couple so that you can copy paste, because most people don't get into the first one they try. You have to try a bunch of them to get in. A good way to up level your chances is to go to a TEDx, meet the organizer, and then start the dialogue so that when it comes into the judges, they know it. We actually have a training program that we offer where I went out and interviewed a judge, a former judge, a former organizer of one of the largest ones in North America,
Wow.
and somebody who is a TEDx coach who's went viral to over 500,000 people.
Wow.
So we pulled all the information out of that, 60 tips in all, to make sure that
Wow.
you know everything that you need to know about submitting that application.
That sounds very important for anybody who wants to up level their game and get on a TEDx talk show, and a very reasonable price indeed. So, wow. Oh my gosh. Okay, so a couple more questions. If somebody's a coach, how important is that for them to become a speaker, in your opinion? And if they become a speaker, how important is it for them to have a book and then getting out and doing a podcast tour? So how important do you think it is for a coach to be a speaker, an author, and then get out there and do podcasts?
So the first answer is, I think it's critical. Let's say that you have a coach, but you also have an e-course.
Ah,
You have to get people into that e-course. You have to get in front of enough people who
right.
potentially are your clients to keep that pipeline going.
Yes.
Because if you get so caught up in servicing people and you don't start looking ahead to where the next group is going to come from, one day you're going to look up and say, oops, I just graduated all these people and I got nobody in the pipeline. So you need to have a steady stream of speaking engagements all year round to get in front of your ideal audience so that pipeline doesn't dry up. That's
Right.
number one.
Right.
Number two, a book. A book is great because it helps you get more speaking engagements. You definitely have a leg up when you're applying for speaking opportunities when you can show that you have a book. No
Nice.
question.
Nice.
So that is absolutely important. It adds to your credibility, etc. I will be honest, though. Collaboration books aren't the things you really need for speaking engagement. You need a book of your own.
Interesting.
At least 100, 120 pages. It's got to be more than a little pamphlet. It's got to be something serious that a booker can take seriously.
Wow. That's
So
cool though. That's really good to know. So I know a lot of collaborative books are very popular because you just have to write a little chapter or something and you're golden. You got yourself, you become a published author, but that's not going to really help you get a speaking engagement.
no, it might be something that you can hold up when you're doing local speaking engagements and say, hey, I was in this, etc., which gives you a little bump in credibility, but it's not going to get you booked. A real book
Gotcha.
will get you booked.
That's so important. Okay, good to understand that. So what about the
And the third
podcast
one,
tour? Yeah.
yeah. And so with podcast tour, so especially with a book, this is really valuable
Okay.
because it also opens doors on podcasts, and it gives them a reason to be talking to you. Now, it's not that you can't as a coach, you just have to have a really good hook if you're not going to be bringing forth a book. You need to
Yes.
be something unique and different as positioning, and something that everybody isn't already talking about. But a podcast tour is a great way to get out there and grow your visibility, the number of people to your opt-in list, which is really critical because we should be
Yes.
dropping those in the podcast as
Yes.
well.
Yes.
It gives you, I have clients who say, I'm still getting stuff on clients off of this, and I did the interviews a year ago, but people are listening to the podcast now.
Yeah.
And you are, it increases your SEO so that
Yes.
when people are looking around, they
Right.
see that you're all over the place.
Right.
And lastly, and here's one of the things I love about it, you can often develop alliances with those hosts to be JV partners.
Yes. Yes. So they can keep promoting you. I love that. That's so brilliant. That's really excellent. Wow. I just want to take a minute and say thank you so much for sharing your wisdom because this is not something that somebody would just innately know. And I think you have to really do some deep dive research to get all that information that you just shared. And knowing all of that, now they also have a place they can go to get help with all of it. So that's brilliant. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I know that you have some free gifts for, just like you recommend. You have some free gifts for our community, and I'm really excited to share those. So do you want to speak to those for them?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So the first one is called 44 Ways to Seduce Your Next Client from Stages, Podcasts, Radio Shows, Virtual Summits, and Virtual Networking. So we just talked about how important lead magnets are, but if you think an ebook or an invitation to a discovery call are the only ways that you're going to attract people into your community, you are dead wrong. There are 44 other ways to do that. So grab that. It's going to open your mind and open your eyes to great lead magnets. The other one that I wanted to talk about is called the definitive speaker checklist. So if you're ready to start looking at becoming a speaker or up-leveling your speaking, this is going to make sure that you haven't missed any steps, that you know exactly what to do, what to prepare, what to have happen in the right order, so that you don't get caught short at any point and you could present yourself as a professional coach that you are. So I want to invite people to take advantage of those, and you're going to put them in the show notes, right?
Yes, I'm going to put the links in the I'm going to put them out on social media, but for my coaches, you guys that are on my mailing list, I'm going to be putting a special code for you as well, because Jackie has graciously offered you a discount for being a Wainwright Global Coach. So I'll be putting that special code for you to get 20% off of these services. So thank you for that as well, Jackie. It's always a pleasure for me to be able to provide a little extra for my coaches. So thank you. I appreciate it very much. Is there anything else you'd like to share before we sign off?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for letting me be here. But, I just want to say, don't hide your light under a bushel. I know that coaches and, you got so many other things you could be doing, but there are so many people out there that need you today.
True.
And, you can't underestimate the value of bringing your light to the world. And so please let that light shine freely and get yourself in front of as many audiences as possible.
Oh, thank you so much. That just resonates with my message, which is we all have that beautiful essence, that light within us, and we all have divine purpose and gifts, and we need to share those gifts with the world. And what better way to do it than to get on stages, right? And let people know what you do. All right. Thank you so much, Jackie. Until next time. Bye.